Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 451. This is your guide to the geek side, and I am Todd Oxtra, joined by Charlie Carden.
Woo! Wacky, arm-waving, inflatable man. Wasn't that the bit for Family Guy? Woo! Woo!
And Loki.
And Loki. Oh, yeah! And Loki. Very good. Yeah, what's going on? It's, man, after last weekend, holy crap. It's just nice to take a breath and try to clean the house because everything from last weekend is still in my dining room. So that's what my evening looks like, but it's great to be here.
Excellent. Yeah, we're in birthday craziness right now. Logan had his 18th birthday at the Dojang. It was great.
Nice.
It was a surprise birthday party. He didn't know. He thought he was actually working the birthday party because they do that. And then he shows up and his friends are all in the back. We said happy birthday. It was fantastic.
Aww,
and then,
very nice.
And we did Cheesecake Factory for his real birthday. So that was fun.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and then my wife's birthday is the 14th. So
cool.
Birthday, and then mother-in-law's the 28th. So very, very busy with that. So very exciting. I've got a man who can vote and buy scratch-offs, Playboys, and smoke. So
the famous Patton Oswalt bit was when you turn 18, you can vote and you can buy a gun. So you should celebrate by shooting a hole through a ballot.
That sounds perfect. Yeah, that's the way you get the right. You don't have any Chads then. Yes, and then we are joined by, I don't even know how many times it's been, but Jen Watson from Code 47 fame and cosplay and making cool stuff. Welcome.
Yes, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I was always bragging about what a great part of Code you've become and how much I like working with you. So there is no other Captain Marvel that I've worked with in the cosplay world besides you that I think really nails it, because I think you definitely got a Brie Larson vibe. And is she from the Chicago area? I feel like she is.
I don't know, actually.
Yeah. Because I remember her, Todd, you'll appreciate this, because she was in that show, was it The League, which was set in Chicago, Nick Kroll, and she played a girlfriend or something, and I thought it filmed in Chicago. Okay. Yeah, so I thought, and it was one of those, like, well, I'm a local, so that's a question for
she was born in Sacramento, California, so...
Well, that's not exactly close.
No.
But for some reason...
Californian accent?
The Californians do...
She knows exactly where every place.
What are you doing here? I took the 405 to the 15 to the... Anyway.
That's a deep cut right there. Well, very, very good. Well, we're all here to talk about the Marvels. That's going to be our spoiler cast at the back end of the show. We're going to talk about all geeky stuff, and we don't have to talk about a strike anymore, so we can move on to our Patreons, those great people in our Secret Friends squad. We've got Friends with Benefits, Corey in HD. We've got John Sedorf, the Phoenix Sisters cosplay, and Brendan Myers. And at the BFF level, we've got Sean, Stella, and Henry Nias, Missy Merchant, and Andy Milliken. And the cool part is, if you're a Patreon, and this is kind of the bad news, Zencastr is kind of making us do ads now.
They put us to work.
Of that, yes. So because of that, if you're a Patreon, the good news is you will get the feed will actually have an ad-free version of these shows. If you are not a Patreon, you'll have to hear our ad pitch. So sorry for that, but it's another reason to join our Patreon, and you can get a 1-week free trial to check it out to see if it's worth it. But that's the bad news, and you'll get an ad drop sometime in the show. So just be prepared and don't be surprised.
It'll be okay. And again, that is patreon.com/Secret Friends Unite. Free 1-week trial. Very affordable. And it comes with a lot of great content, including my show, The Facts of Geek Life, of which Jen is a frequent contributor. Todd has contributed as well. We take a classic season of a classic show, a handful of episodes, and we kind of cut it up and have a good time. So love to have you give us a shot. And there was an
Oh, yes, because Mark just did a interview with Timothy Zahn, and that was fantastic. Patreon exclusive.
You better believe it. Yeah. So tune in. And a lot of our Patreon content does eventually make it to the network feed. I just scheduled a couple just this week. But getting it first is where you find on Patreon, and again, it's very affordable. So, okay, commercial over. But holy cow, we're going all the way back in the Wayback Machine this week for our cover on We Got This Cover 1963. Oh gosh, this was right before the Kennedy assassination, because remember, it's always a couple 3 months forward. So it's December of 1963. This is dated Tales to Suspense, issue 51, and not the most pristine copy of. Oh no, you know what? It's not as bad as the fact that somebody took it against their rug, because you can see that's what's on the edge. I'm like, boy, that looks really crackly. But this is Iron Man versus the Scarecrow. Now, Tales of Suspense, that was one of those weird ones where the numbering switches over. And this one might have become Iron Man because it started with issue 100 or something, or one of those. So it's it's kind of weird. But anyway, once again, I love this. The Mighty Marvel Group introduces a new type of supervillain, like a shitty supervillain, because that's kind of what I'm feeling, to make you gasp and wonder. What are you wondering about when you look at the Scarecrow? Thoughts? How drunk was this person? How high was this person?
Did not realize there was a Marvel Scarecrow. I usually associate that with Batman.
Right, exactly. Anyone else would tremble in fear of the face of Iron Man's angry challenge. What's his angry challenge? Like angry drinking? But not the Scarecrow, air quotes. So maybe that's not really his name. What strange power does he possess? Stuffing? Is stuffing a power?
Well, I did read a little bit of the background on this comic. So the Scarecrow was actually a circus performer called it was Umberto the Bendable or something. He was a circus performer.
The Unbendable?
He ended up helping stop a robbery at the circus. So he basically, instead of thinking, I'm going to be a superhero from going, he basically said, I could do better, and I could do better crimes than that. So he dresses up as the Scarecrow, steals a guy who trains crows at the circus, and he uses those to commit crimes. He ends up breaking into Tony Stark's house, and he takes the plans for all of his gear, and he takes a boat to Cuba. Tony Stark.
It's a very slow boat. Oh my gosh!
I mean, talk about and why was he the Scarecrow? Because of crows? I mean, very weird concept.
That sounds like a Batman villain. That sounds like an episode of Batman 66.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think that is an episode of Batman 66.
So I think he's worse than the Batman Scarecrow villain, to be honest.
Well,
he's in the circus. But also very enchanting is the back cover, which is an advertisement for some kind of shoe, something. Make $5 to $20 a week extra operating, and again in quotes, Saturday morning shoe store. I always find the misuse of quotes really enchanting, because what does it really mean? Usually when something is like air quotes, you're saying this is not really what I think.
It's a cover.
Yeah, exactly. It's a cover. We're really selling drugs. That's what's in the show. The shoe's like a dime bag. And
really a pyramid scheme, like selling Tupperware or shakes or whatever.
Well, and look at this guy. He doesn't even have real money. He's just got something that looks like money with the word 20 spelled out. We furnish everything for free. So you get on this program and they give you a case with several shoes in it.
More shoes.
And it's, I assume this is a door-to-door scenario. This guy's very good at it. These people invited him in, gave him a newspaper, or maybe he's selling out of the newspaper, and moving some shoes. So rush starting outfit. So they get, and I can't read this fine print. It's too small for me. But yes, this is how you get going from the Mason Shoe Company of Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. Oh, well, it's from Wisconsin. So right there, I know how both you Illinois and Minnesota people feel about Wisconsin. And based on my experience with Wisconsin, I tend to agree. It's pretty.
Oh my goodness.
I'm lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
So
no shade.
I guess, would you guys buy shoes? You couldn't even try them on because there's only 4 shoes in this box. I mean,
you're buying them by the style and then hoping that they come. That sounds like a super scam.
Now.
Oh, that's on Amazon. Yeah.
Right, but at least Amazon does the try or buy with this. The guy's probably like, ha, give me money, and then you never see him again.
Yeah, 8 weeks later, your shoes show up, and if they don't fit, I'm assuming you're kind of hosed. I mean,
right, exactly. So that must,
hose not included.
Oh no, you don't need the hose included because you're already hosed. But yes, I guess you can find out why in this day and age this is not a booming industry. The whole door-to-door sales.
And a lot of those ads in comic books were not anything like real either. Right.
I sold wrapping paper. I was the kid who did that because I was like, I'm going to make some money and get a BMX bike.
Yeah,
Oh.
I
Not a good idea.
I never got my X-ray glasses. Or what was the one? What was the selling Grit magazine? That was the big one.
Boy's Life, yeah.
Boy's Life, yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Well, you know who probably got rich with this get rich quick scheme? That's probably our senior news correspondent, Madam Webb, 123 years young, down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine, much busier now with the strike over. But she's going to give us all the latest scoops with Madam Webb's news report. So let's do it.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Well, the good news, the strike is over, and talk about this news, Madam Webb. So the good news is you can start going on the talk shows and talking up Madam Webb in 2025, 2024, whatever it's happening. You are going to be like the Stan Lee of the Spumco, where you're going to have all of your appearances as like a shoe shine artist. You're going to be a maid. You're going to be a
she's going to be like Eddie Murphy in the Clumps. She's going to have all these different roles.
Well, she'll just be you'll be looking for the role Madam Webb will be playing in all these movies, like the little cameo. So
like Stan Lee, got it.
Yeah, exactly. So she is the Stan Lee of the Spumco.
Spumco. I absolutely love it.
What cinematic universe of Spider-Man characters?
I don't know. Spumco is just fun to say. That's all I really care about. All right. Well, let's talk about the most important story on the landscape right now. The good folks at SAG reached an agreement with the evil people at the studio, and the strike has ended as of, I think it was Wednesday. I was telling the story when we were recording Code 47. I was on the road this week. I was in the hotel room kind of doing my thing, bouncing between personal and work stuff. And at like 6:58, boom, strike is over. So I was very excited, got out there to share the news that the strike has ended. The 4-month-long strike. How many days was it? 115 days, something like that? Maybe longer?
Almost 120 days.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. So Todd, you are the business and the details guy. So why don't you take it from here?
Yes. So basically, the studios and the actors compromised basically to a 7% increase in general wages, effectively immediately. So that'll be where they're at, and basically about $1 billion in total funding. That's the money piece in regards to direct wages. There will also be streaming residuals that are actually not like pennies on the $1 million. So that's the good news, because streaming has been become a big part that without that, it's really taken away a lot of revenue for actors and people in the industry. So that's the good news. So there will be streaming revenue now, which is fantastic, which means a big deal for everyone. I don't know if it's retroactive, but going forward, I assume they'll be getting those new fees. And then the other part that was a big portion of this was consent and compensation guardrails for the use of AI.
Absolutely.
So this basically means that when you sign on for a project, you don't have to decide at that point if you agree or if you don't agree to AI, and they say, well, you didn't agree to AI, so we're not hiring you.
So we own we own your face forever. That was
or yes, when you're dead and they can reuse you, because I think that's been a big shame. And actually, in conjunction with that, Nicolas Cage was saying that he didn't know he was Superman in the Flash, like that was going to happen, which I thought was so weird. I'm like,
oh, that's so crazy.
I don't know how they got away with that, because I don't think that was any contract. So that was an odd one. So that's kind of the main pieces, which and this is only a 3-year contract. So I think the biggest hope means that they can build upon this contract in future years, and not have to worry about starting from scratch again.
Yeah. I mean, they bargained and you know, as near as I can tell, they won, and something had to change. And again, I deferred talking a lot about this because on Code 47, we talked about it in reference to Star Trek and kind of what we have to look forward to. But in an overall view, this is incredible. It's great to see the little guy go against, the President Business of the Lego movie, the big evil corporation, and to bring them to their knees. Because, again, what were they going to do? Oh, nope, we're not going to have actors anymore. No more union, no more. We're just going to, start doing stuff with stick figures. They were going to have to deal and give up some of their billions that they make off of the hard labor of these people who have created this industry. So this is fantastic news. I'm super excited. And again, as you said, it's a 3-year deal. And things will continue to evolve in the next 3 years, and they'll have a much stronger position to go back and continue to fighting for expanded rights at that time. So I'm very excited about this.
And Jen, I know we had discussions in the podcasting group about supporting and cosplay is a big part of yours and Charlie's world, and of like feeling like how the best way to support. And obviously, it's kind of glad that that's not over. But I know that was something everyone struggled with, and that's why we've continued to talk about the strike and get in everybody's mind. We made a donation, so this has got to be a relief for the creative community that supports all of these things.
Absolutely. I know that there was a lot of discussion earlier in the summer about if cosplay was okay. There was a big kerfuffle that came out based on the guidelines that the strike organizers released. And it turned out to be a big misunderstanding because the rules about the cosplay really only applied to members who were already members of SAG-AFTRA.
Right.
So if you were not a member of SAG-AFTRA or did not intend to be, then cosplay was totally fine. Still, I saw a lot of people doing some really creative things to not necessarily support struck work with their costumes, cosplaying original characters. I saw a lot of stuff at Renaissance Fair stuff, different interpretations. And it was really cool. It did bring out some creativity within the community to do that and to see that. And I saw people just wearing pins that was like, I support the strike, or having a sign with their costume. But right now, I mean, it's great for everyone. It's great for all of the creatives, cosplayers, actors, everyone in the industry, really, because even the crews and the Teamsters and everyone else that has a job that supports Hollywood and television gets to work again because these strikes are over now. So fingers crossed that through the next 3 years, this will be great news for everyone and continue to be great news beyond those 3 years.
Absolutely. Cool. Oh man, no, I'm fired up. So yeah, and Todd, that does bleed us right back into the next story, because now the question becomes what comes after. You know what I mean? An article that I read did say that as early as midday Thursday, actors in productions that had been stopped, that were firing up again, were looking at some return to work notices. After Thanksgiving, that things were really coming back to life. So, but what does this really mean for things that got stopped cold? What does that mean for movies that they're like, they were teetering on the brink, like Deadpool, like, oh, we're almost done, but you know what I mean? As far as stuff coming back. So Todd, you published this list of kind of Disney specific stuff. Whoops, I think I scrolled down too far. Jump us on in, please.
Yeah. So really nothing's going to change on the front half of 2024. It's kind of like what's said is what's said. The big thing that's going to change is the Marvel release schedule and some releases. So we're basically starting, after the Planet of the Apes, they already announced the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So that'll be the big movie of the summer that starts everything. But after that, we've got Inside Out 2, June 14th, 2024. The bad part is that that movie is a sequel, but several of the voice actors are not returning. Bill Hader and Mindy Kaling are not coming back because they were only offered 2% of Amy Poehler's salary. She's getting $5 million. Bill Hader and Mindy Kaling were only going to get $100,000. So they're being replaced with Tony Hale and another person as well, which is just very sad. Because the movie does look good, and they are adding new characters. They're adding anxiety to the film, which is everybody wants more anxiety. Then the only Marvel movie coming out in 2024 is Deadpool 3, July 26th, 2024. That's a big change.
Wow.
And we'll hear about this, but both Captain America and I believe, I'm trying to remember the other movie that was supposed to come out. Was it
Thunderbolts?
Yes. Now those are going to be 2025 films. Yep.
We have that really burns because
Alien movie. Untitled Alien
Captain
movie.
America
August 16th, 2024.
Mm-hmm.
untitled alien movie. How do we not even know what this alien? If it's coming out,
Alien meaning Alien the franchise, not just about aliens.
No. But I mean, how do we not know the name of this film when it's less than a year away? That's very weird.
Because it's something that's likely to get jammed out, I'm sure. So as I was trying to say, Captain America, that's an ouch for me because Captain America is my favorite, but it does come out on my birthday and almost around my birthday in 2025. So
that's kind of like what happened with the Marvels.
No. There you go.
Now my birthday's next week. So
cool. Happy birthday.
Thanks.
With that, we are wrapping up the year for Disney, and these are the official ones. There's some untitled movies that some haven't announced yet. Mufasa, the Lion King. So this is one of the first live action animated sequels that is not Lion King 2.
Yuck.
Very odd one. That one's happening, so it's going to be really interesting. It's Mufasa's origin story. So prequels now.
I can already hear the crickets.
That's December 20th.
It's just not for me.
December 20th, 24th.
Cruella was cool, but that's
we'll see how that goes.
I don't know if anyone asked for a Mufasa movie.
So we do have 3 films from Disney proper that are untitled, all Disney films, 2 Disney and then 1 Disney animation, April 5th, September 6th, November 27th, 2024. 2025, February 14th, 2025, we've got Captain America Brave New World. We've got Snow White, the live action film, which is gotten kind of harangued for the images they showed of the dwarves, which are
did
animated.
they? I missed out on that. Oh, so so it's kind of a Sonic the Hedgehog situation.
It's CGI plus live action actors, so that's going to be a little.
Why?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Why?
Yeah. Then we have Fantastic Four, May 2nd, 2025. So that feels like that got ahead of some things.
Yeah. That's right. That's kind of shaking the. So that'll be a summer tent pole 2 years from now. Well, 18 months from now.
That'll be the kickoff of the summer. Box office. Yeah. Elio, June 13, 2025. That is I don't know if this is Pixar or standard Disney animation. It's Pixar. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be America Ferrera is starring in this. So we'll see how that goes. Moana is getting a remake. So once again, we're getting into more live action things.
Let's remake something that came out 10 years ago. That's cool.
Thunderbolts, July 25th, 2025. So don't know a whole lot about that yet. Blade, November 7th, 2025, which once again, making a scary movie, move it up 2 weeks and put it in October. It's so weird.
Right, what the hell? So bizarre. Oh, look, here's a movie that I don't care about. Avatar 3. Christmas of 2025. Yeah, I'm very Todd and I divide very deeply on Avatar. I mostly dislike it because of my dislike of James Cameron, because I think he's a jerk and he thinks he's entitled to be a jerk, and he's right, but that doesn't mean I like him.
I liked the second film. Didn't love the first film. Jen, do you have a hot take on Avatar?
No hot takes here. I saw them once each. They're beautiful movies.
That is true. Agreed.
I'm not they're not my favorite, but I enjoy them. I'm very kind of ambivalent.
I think that's how a lot of people feel. It's like they happen. They're kind of fun. Yeah.
Ambivalent. And everybody goes to see them once, but it's everybody, which is why they make $1 billion. Yeah.
So wrapping up 2025, there are 4 untitled Disney and Disney animation films in 2025. Then in 2026, we've got Avengers Kang Dynasty, May 2026.
No, Todd. You didn't mean to say May. You mean to say maybe they don't get rid of Jonathan Majors, and it's the Doctor Doom dynasty, which is the other Doctor Doom, like Duck Dynasty, and old Doctor Doom from the old Spider-Ham comics,
like Revenge of the Jedi. Now it's Return of the Jedi. Yeah,
right. And they're actually talking about a Star Wars movie, to which I say, when pigs fly, but Mark and I will dig into that, I'm sure, at some point.
Star Wars movie, untitled Star Wars movie, May 22nd, 2026. And then another one in December 18th, 2026. I don't don't know if that's
highly unlikely. Highly unlikely.
2 Star Wars films
They
6 months
learned
apart.
Didn't they learn from having Solo so close to
Right.
the other one, Last Jedi? That was within 6 months of each other, and that didn't go well. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was
there's a Star
too
Wars
much Star
movie
Wars.
to wrap
Yeah.
up all the Mandalorian stuff, but
basically what some people think will be the heir to the Empire, putting together all of the Filoniverse characters and an Avengers-like film. Yeah, now that after the end of after the end of Ahsoka. So I don't know. Yeah, 2 films at once. Thematically, if they were different, if one is this and then the other one is Filoni, well, is that far enough apart? But then again, The Last Jedi and Solo movie didn't really have anything to do with each other.
Very
and
different.
That was the big kerfuffle. So I don't know, man. But
it's to be a part 1, part 2 if you're going to have them that close.
Yeah, but I mean, if anything, Star Wars has not delivered on a film promise in 4 years. So they've been like, we're going to do this thing. I heard recently that the Kevin Feige movie is out. That was a quote that I saw this week. So I put 0 stock in anything movie related next to Star Wars until I see a picture of something. I need photographic proof.
Wrapping up 2026, there's a ton of movies that are just untitled. So at this point, we don't know. And then in 2027, Avengers Secret Wars, May 7th, 2027. Once again, another untitled Star Wars film, December 17th, 2027. Then we get to Avatar 4, December 2029. And then
7
Avatar
thumbs
5,
down.
2031. So there we go. That's what Disney's got planned. A lot of untitled films.
He's really going to do it. How old will James Cameron be in 2031? 90. I mean, he's an old dude. Wasn't he born in the 40s? He's, close to our parents' age. Todd. I mean, my parents were born in the late 40s. Todd, I know your parents are a little older than mine, but he's not a young man.
54. He was born in 54.
Okay. Well, he's still too damn old, and I want Avatar to go away.
Charlie, people are saying we're too old to still be podcasting.
Really? I thought literally everyone our age had a podcast. That's the going gag. So, it's the further out these schedules get, the more ridiculous they are. So that's my lukewarm take. That's my Han or Luke inside a Tauntaun lukewarm take.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, let's see here. This was my ad. Deadpool 3 leaked story details claim to reveal how the movie ties to Loki and the TVA. Now, we're going to talk about the end of Loki when we get into the Geek Easy. But Marvel's shining only anything on the silver screen in 2024 will be Deadpool 3, which is weird because it's such a tonal shift that everything, and this is now now considered the MCU, I assume, now that everything is put together.
I am sure that Deadpool himself will tell us exactly if it is or not.
Yes,
with those words.
Yes, exactly. He'll give us the real.
We'll see if we'll get like we'll see if we'll get like a Luis like kind of narration to kind of get everybody up to speed, because I think that's what we need at this point. Just at the beginning of the next big Marvel thing, to say this is what's all happened. So here we are.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that would be the best for people who have avoided the stuff over on Disney Plus. Though I don't know anybody who watches these films and hasn't also seen the Disney stuff, but I'm sure they're out there. And this film that we're going to talk about, The Marvels, is the first real integration, unless I'm mistaken, of Disney Plus material into a film. So I totally agree with you. That would be having Luis at the beginning of it would be very on brand for Deadpool, and would be a fit. But this says, the TVA got word that the Kangs are gathering. A new multiversal war is about to start. So they create an army of multiversal heroes, mostly from Dying Words, to fight the Council of Kangs. That seems very big and silly, or they'd find a way to make it silly if it, because it's a Deadpool film.
It's Deadpool. It's gonna be
Deadpool is a prisoner of the TVA after messing with time, hears about it and escapes. His plan is to get Wolverine, who we know is, but for the photo below, to come with him instead, so they could become BFFs. Oh, you see, that I like. That sounds fine. So really, they make the whole tying to Loki sound like very kind of incidental, but a way to get things rolling. So yeah, boy, they're putting a lot of eggs in this basket, being it's their only film that's coming out next year. But I know we'll love it because the previous 2 Deadpool films were super delightful. So I'm excited. I don't care what they throw into it. Anything. Throw the kitchen sink into that thing. I'm totally down with it.
I'm sure they will.
If anyone can make sense of all of everything that's gone on and just have fun with it, and then we can just say, well, Deadpool made it work. I think that's the only way you can make all this stuff work, because if you do too many serious things with like science and explaining it, like explain time travel again in a movie, I think you just got to go all in and say, this is what happened, timey-wimey stuff. Use the Doctor Who explanation, just timey-wimey stuff.
Yeah, right. Work for Doctor Who for 60
real.
years, I'm sure. Yeah, it isn't real. Time is a construct, man. Well, cool. Good deal. All right, Todd, you tackle this next one. This is not my scene, but I know you love it, so go for it.
Yeah. So an Avatar that I am passionate about is Avatar, The Last Airbender. Thanks, James Cameron, for stealing the name of this. But I am a huge fan of the Nickelodeon series. It's really a fantastic animated just event type of storytelling. It's wonderful. It's goofy. It's got a lot of heart. And there was a really bad movie by M. Night Shyamalan that really was a mistake.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And and then we did get a follow-up series called Korra, which was essentially the decade after, or generation following, which was kind of cool, and which I still have not watched, so I need to watch that eventually by the same
really
creators.
good.
That's what I've heard. I've heard really good. I just don't know why. My brain says I need to watch that. But we are.
The funny thing is, it was like me with Avatar in the first place. Like I waited so long, and I'm like, I will know when the time is right, and the time was right for me to just watch all of it, and it was great. So,
I think it's a show that's great for all ages too. And
it is.
And even though it's animated, I feel like it is creating its own unique world. It does a lot of really cool things, and it's a very epic story, but the human moments are really what makes it special, especially through the lens of Aang, the main character, who is a avatar of, basically the powers that these people have. They have the ability to bend the elements, which is very cool. And Aang is just a fun, goofy character. And he's, a child, essentially. He's the next avatar. So, and it's neat. It's just a great story. But we are getting Netflix, who is making a live action series. Now, a lot of people would say, oh, Netflix, they're going to ruin it. But Netflix has actually been on a pretty good run of doing very faithful and very quality adaptations. The One Piece adaptation, which I've not watched, but we've had people on the show say it's amazing, and they're big fans of the anime and the manga. So, and what I saw in the trailer, which there was a trailer released for the Netflix Geeked Out, it looks as faithful as you would want. They have characters, the actors are people of color that represent what the characters are supposed to be like, which is great. And we haven't gotten anything from like a storytelling element yet. This is more like just how it looks. And they nailed Appa. They nailed all of the character designs and the actors. And it looks, if it nails everything else, I'm super excited. And this is coming out February 22nd, 2024. Yeah. So Charlie, everything I've stated, is that any interest to you at all?
We'll see. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to hearing people talk about it and tuning in. But yeah, I don't know. It's just never really grabbed me, but it doesn't mean that it couldn't. So, and again, I agree with you. Netflix does have a good stream of actually, doing the time and investing in making quality adaptations. So yeah, who knows? It's possible.
Jen, so you have seen both. So anything give you pause, or are you interested?
No, this looks really cool. This looks like it's spot on. I don't currently have a Netflix subscription, but I will be resubscribing when Star Trek Prodigy comes back, of course. So I will have to check this out. Cause I did watch the Avatar and Korra. I watched both of them. So, this looks cool. I did not see the movie that doesn't exist.
Right. It's kind of like all those other Highlander movies that we won't talk about, because there was only one.
There can only be one.
Exactly.
And right. It's a whole The Never Ending Story Part 2 all over again.
Exactly.
cannot be discussed.
Well, it never ends, so it's
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I guess,
how could you have another part? I know. 404 error, brain not found. Okay, well, that is the end of the news. Todd, time to get out that Fuber app, that feeble Uber app. Got to get down to Scugtown, Nastyville. The Geek Easy awaits for us to talk about stuff that we're enjoying this week. So let's go.
Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencastr. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencastr because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to zencastr.com/SFU and use our code SFU. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experience I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, cover band's playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. So, Jen, considering all the things that are going on in the world, is there anything out there that making you excited about the world of nerd?
Well, I did just watch the Loki season 2 finale. I know that's on your lists too.
Yeah, we can talk about it now.
Wow, I was not expecting that to go the way that it did. There were definitely some moments where I was like, holy shit, that's
For
cool.
sure.
That's really cool. I don't know how spoiler heavy we get here.
We can put a spoiler warning right now. So spoiler warning for anyone who doesn't watch Loki.
I can stay general. I can stay general.
That's not a bad idea since it just came out a couple of days ago. So that's fair.
Yeah.
Even though we are doing a spoiler cast of the film, we'll split the difference.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I didn't really necessarily have anything super spoilery to say. It was just like, it's so interesting to see how that ending reverberates back through the rest of the MCU. Like, is this the reason that the time stone is green? Because Loki always did this and always had this. The culmination of the glorious purpose that he knew he was burdened with, but then didn't want. Season 1 is about him learning to love himself. Season 2 is about him learning to love other people. And by the time he's like actualized, he has to give it up. The hard thing that he has to do is not killing Sylvie. The hard thing he has to do is giving himself up. And it's, it'll be interesting to see how this impacts everything else. It's like, all of the times that Victor Timely got spaghettified, is that making all the Kangs?
Oh gosh, you're right. If he's a little piece of spaghetti out there somewhere, I didn't think about it that way.
They don't really specify exactly how this all works.
Right.
Going back, you're time slipping, you're creating new branches all on your own.
Right.
But if he's like the god of time now, then it doesn't matter.
Right. So how and where?
Feelings.
Yeah. How and where would we see him in what may or may not be the Kang dynasty? Or could there simply, why would they have to the powers that be, if they want to bag Jonathan Majors, find another. Recasting happens all the time. I don't know why they really have to throw out the baby with the bathwater. If they've invested this much of the MCU into Loki and multiversal things, I find it hard to believe that they would just throw it out altogether. But then again, apparently it's been discussed. So
maybe it was Loki all along.
yes, maybe. Oh no. Oh, maybe he is Agatha.
All along.
Do. Well, Todd, you're the biggest of the Thor fans, because that's your kind of your Marvel jam. So, and I know Loki's your favorite MCU character, so you've said. So where do you land with all this?
I really liked how it ended up because, as we know, with Endgame, Loki died. Basically, actually, Infinity War, he died.
Right.
So I don't think he truly could come back in a way that would work. And I always feel like death should be for a reason, not just for a plot point. Comic books do it all the time.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that, to Jen's point, this is all about Loki, kind of his journey from the very first film we saw to where he ends. And I'd hate to say this, while he isn't, it's not exactly where he wanted to be, it's where he had to be, his glorious purpose. And I loved what they did with, and I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but at the end, his transformation and how they tied in everything he had to do and the way they played it out. I thought it was very poetic, and I thought it was very well done in a fashion that I wasn't expecting. This is not a show, if you're watching for huge, oh my goodness, this, that, and that. It's not that. This show has never been that. We didn't have any weird Loki variants this time to really go, oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at
that. It wasn't really Easter egg heavy. It wasn't oh yeah, look at this. Oh, I slid in this little bit and blah, blah, blah. And here's Loki alligator again. So it wasn't.
I mean, unless you are into Norse mythology.
Exactly.
Right.
But and then one of the things that Loki has always been different in the comics too, and so in this case, we could have Sylvie just be the Loki that becomes the main focus and the Lord of Mischief. Although Sylvie's not exactly mischievous anymore.
No,
so,
she's something else too.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know how you incorporate that type of Luke, and maybe that's not meant to be. Maybe it's just. We move on. So I was very happy with how this ended. And if this is where Loki's journey ends, I'm happy.
It would be interesting.
I'm not seeing a season 3.
I simply walked around the rest of the evening and then the next day going, dun, 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 dun. I love his music. I love his theme. Loki's theme is now one of my favorite MCU themes, right up there with the Avengers theme, I think.
Yeah, the scene where he kept trying to fix things. Yeah. I really liked that scene and the music. Yeah. I thought that was a really cool way of
his Groundhog Day moments. Yeah. So
faster.
Yeah, faster. That's good stuff. Awesome. Oh, so Todd.
Jen, anything else?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
I mean, we rewatched Ms. Marvel before going in to see the Marvels. And I have started rewatching the Jordan Peele Twilight Zone.
I never watched that.
Seen before.
Yeah, me neither.
Really good.
Yeah, where's it at? Where do people watch it at?
So it was a Paramount Plus original, and unfortunately, it got the same fate as Prodigy.
The axe.
Elsewhere, but you can find it on Prime now, I think.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I don't know, but anyway, I found it on Prime. It is a reimagining of the Twilight Zone that is far better than the 2000s remake. And it's Jordan Peele, so it's got that kind of atmospheric, spooky kind of, but not. It's really good. I think if you like Jordan Peele's movies, you'll like this. I haven't seen all of them, but I really love the Twilight Zone. We've only got up to the first couple of episodes, but and the third episode of the first season is one of my favorites. You want to talk about time loops? There's another one in there. And it brings in the political stuff. It brings in, the Twilight Zone has always been political. Rod Serling wanted it to be. It was a, metaphor. But that one brings in like the Black Lives Matter movement,
Oh, wow.
things like that. So it gets heavy, but it's very, very good. I strongly recommend it. It's
Oh,
the
cool.
2019 series, and I'm rewatching it now because
That's
I
awesome.
felt like that. So
We blasted through those movies again. His trilogy. It's a trilogy of films, but they're not really because they're not connected to each other in any way. During October is spooky time, and just forgot how great Us was, and just forgot how great Get Out was because I hadn't seen it since the theaters. But then I had seen Nope more recently because it just came out last year. But God, what a great!
I haven't seen Nope.
God, what a great set! Yeah,
Heard I should.
Nope's a weird one. It's a little bit. It's less satisfying to me than the first two.
Yeah, it's not surreal in the same way. Like there's a lot of surrealism in those first two films, where Nope, not quite as much. Yeah, I would also say of the three, it's the weakest. Yeah. So cool. All right, Tadio. So tell me about this game that I can't play that I'd like to play.
Well, so I just want to say, I normally don't talk about video games, but this is more about like Spider-Man 2 just came out. It's a video game, but this is the third entry in the Sony Spider-Man video game series. The first one was Spider-Man 1, introduced Miles Morales, who wasn't Spider-Man. The second one is all about Miles Morales, the second game. And the third one is the two are together. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I think, based on, and I'm almost done with the second game, this is one of the best Spider-Man takes that I've ever watched, read, or whatever. I love it. I think the character moments are so great. They've remixed things in a way that feels fresh, but still hits on the main parts of Spider-Man, why he's special, while Miles is special. And if you can't play the games, just see if you can watch the cutscenes. I know Charlie do this for the Star Wars
That's
game.
what I'm going to do. I do. Yeah, I've watched Battlefront 2 more than once, and I just absolutely adore it. So yeah, I should. I just one of those things that I just don't think to do. So, but because when you put together the cutscenes from Battlefront 2, it's a 2-hour film, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, so I assume there is a YouTuber out there who's done it all, and is it?
I'm assuming, there'll be somebody that has probably a good HD version. You could probably watch on the big screen on your TV through the YouTube app. But I think that this one is really focused on Venom and Kraven, and I love both of the takes. I feel like it's a fresh take on Venom because we've seen Venom done many ways, and most of the times it's been done horribly. So I think this one's really well done. It's a scary ass Venom. Holy crap! I was surprised they went to a certain space, and they did. And I really, and they introduce a new character in a new light, which is fun. And they have a great Easter egg that involves Doctor Strange, which I loved because I'm like, oh, Doctor Strange is part of this world. That's neat too. So I just am loving it. Obviously, the gameplay is phenomenal. And I just love the fact, Charlie, there's like over 70 suits for each Spider-Man.
Oh,
you can change the color elements, which are fun.
That's
awesome. There's one like there's the Spider-Man 1612 costume, which is
Peter Parquad.
He's got like a ruffle and
right. Yeah. Well, that was
jaunty lad.
Yeah, that was a character that was, because remember you and I talked about that 1602 on Spinner Rack on our Patreon, and it didn't feature that Spider-Man character, but he was subsequently in the in one of the sequels to 1602, and then showed up in the 2014 Spider-Verse miniseries. So that's awesome. So I'll make a note to go watch those story beats because that sounds like fun.
It's quite a bit of cutscenes though. So I think you'll be entertained, and I don't think you miss. I mean, there's some things that happen in the world, and there are also some side missions. Which, if I hadn't played those side missions, I feel like I would have been missing out because they do fill in more story beats that add on to the Venom piece, and you do get to play as Venom in the game, which is really feels good.
That's awesome.
Which is very cool. Yeah. So enjoy that if you get a chance.
I will.
And watch those, definitely.
I absolutely will. Jen, where do you land with video gaming? Are you a gamer, a console gamer, or anything like that?
Not really. I kind of used to be, but I don't really. I have a PS2. Let me just put it that way.
I have a PS4, and it would have to die for me to transition up because I turn it on about once or twice a year. Sorry.
I don't really play anything, but I'm not opposed to watching games, watching cutscenes, watching friends play.
Yeah.
So if there's a good story in a game, I keep meaning to do that with some of these Star Wars games.
Yeah.
Especially Cal Kestis, because I'm like, I want to know what happens.
Yeah, those are the two that I have watched. Is the first Cal Kestis one, the Jedi Survivor, I think, and then as I said, Battlefront 2. I know that the main character that is a favorite of April, so that's cosplay that she wanted to take on because she liked the character so much. So sweet. All right, well, I'll blast through real quick because mine is also Spider-Man related. I finally jumped back into reading Amazing Spider-Man, and again with Marvel Unlimited, which we've done for 10 years, and we use it as a basis for a lot of the material that we talk about in our Patreon. They're running 3 months behind, which is a huge improvement from when they started.
Oh, it is 3 months now?
Yeah, it has been for long. Yeah, it has been for a long time. It was 6.
Great.
Yeah, no, Todd, we've talked about this. It was 6.
Oh, is it? Okay, for many 6 months.
For many years, it was 6 months, and then during COVID, they cut it. I think they changed it because obviously Marvel was shut down for a few months. When it came back, they drew it back to really try to stimulate business in that way. So I'm now up to. I'm not about to. There was issue 26 was the big death, which I think it was Kamala Khan, wasn't it? We talked about that a while back. So I just finished issue 25, which was supersized, and it was wrapping up the time jump that had happened after the end of the Spider-Man Beyond, which was Ben Reilly coming back, and he was Corpo Spider-Man, but they were, twisting his brain and stuff. Peter Parker was poisoned by the UFOs. Todd, you remember me talking about this several months ago. I was doing a big catch up. So when there was a new number 1, which of course this is Spider-Man Volume 10, maybe, because they're like, it's time for another number 1. It was like there was a year jump forward. Peter and Mary Jane were about to get together, but they were separated now. Now she has a husband and 2 children, and you're like, how did she get a husband and 2 children? One of the kids looks like her, so you're like, how did she have her own kid? And what happened was when jumping a year past, we get kind of a Dimension Z. Remember Captain America, Dimension Z? He had a kid, and there was a time dilation thing. So Peter and Mary Jane had gotten sucked back into this weird dimension. There was this villain that they kept referring to, somebody from the 90s who I just couldn't plug it up, but it was based on like a Mayan demigod and all this different stuff. So Peter got kicked out of the dimension. Mary Jane stayed there. By the time Peter was able to fight his way back by stealing tech from the Fantastic Four, getting into a fist fight with Captain America because they were all trying to stop him because he wouldn't talk about what he was doing, but just that he needed to get back. By the time he got back, 4 years had gone by, and this other dude named Paul, who was with him in the other dimension, he and Mary Jane became a couple. They found these 2 orphan children and they raised them together. So that was the rub. And then they all got home, and Mary Jane's like, I'm not leaving him, even though blah, blah, blah. And so Peter is just at the end of issue 25. He's just laying to, and then the Fantastic Four catch up with him, and he gets into a fist fight with the Human Torch and punches him in the face and catches his own hand on fire. And he's so amped up that it doesn't even slow him down. And I think Cap shows up and punches him in the stomach or something, and he's just laying there defeated. So this is about as low as Peter Parker gets. So, and then obviously we jump into the next issue and there's a death. So, that's my next read, but I think they're at issue 30 or 35 maybe now. So there's several more for me to read. Overall, a comic that's been around for 60 years just goes in cycles. Nothing is forever. So this is a thing. And then something will happen, and this Paul guy will turn out to be the Green Goblin or something, and Peter and Mary Jane will be back together. So, you're not reading this. Comics become soap operas over a period of time. It's very much like, this'll so-and-so is dead, but they didn't blah, 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 this thing or that thing. And so, I just read it because, again, my badge of honor is that, Jen, I've said this several times, maybe not heard a show. I've read every issue of Amazing Spider-Man. And there are over 900 issues, but I've done it with the help of not only reading them when I was a kid, so in the last 40 years that I've been reading Spider-Man, but with Marvel Unlimited, I started at 0 and I just went all the way through, and now we're up to, we're at issue 900 or 950. So yeah, I couldn't tell you what happened in a lot of the issues that have occurred in the last 30 years, because the 30 years before that were my, my prime of reading. But you know what? I'll keep plugging through. It's not like my failed attempt to read all of the Avengers comics from 0, which Todd wouldn't let me finish. And the same thing with the Fantastic Four. Todd's like, don't read those. No, you can't do that. It's not okay.
It's not worth torturing yourself over.
I know. Yeah, some of those Avengers comics from the early 70s is like, oh boy, Avengers take on Red Wolf. I don't think so. That's not for me.
We've seen the covers. We can judge them.
It's easier to get to the covers. And then secondly, and this was just last night, we rewatched the Captain Marvel film from 2019. And I had probably seen it. Jen, I'm sure you've seen it a bunch of times because Captain Marvel is your spirit animal.
So many times.
I probably hadn't seen it. I'd maybe seen it once or twice on home video. I own it, but it's also on Disney Plus for those of you who do not. And I had forgotten how much I really enjoyed it. It's really kind of a sweet film. It's got a nice emotional core. A lot of it has to do with what I think is particularly the overall misogyny of the Kree and particularly of Jude Law's character and him just taunting, Carol or Veers like, I want you the best person you can be. And I want you to take me out with any of your, and then she force punches him into a rock. She's like, I don't have anything to prove to you, asshole. Here, get in your little ship and go back. I'm coming to kick some ass.
It's cathartic.
It's super great. And I'm sure, as a man, it doesn't mean to me what it means to a woman, I'm sure. But still, I really dug it. And again, the setting of 1995, Jen, you're quite a bit younger than Todd and I, but in 1995, we were in college. Yeah. And it really, all of the references, the internet cafe, the 9 Inch Nails t-shirt and the motorcycle and the Blockbuster video and the Radio Shack and just all the great 90s Easter eggs.
And the amazing soundtrack.
Oh my God. I even caught my wife dancing along to one of the songs on the credits, and she never does that. What's the whole song that plays over the credits?
Celebrity Skin.
Celebrity Skin. Yeah, that was one.
Which is not from 1995. It's later.
Oh, you see? Look at that.
Wow.
Yeah.
It could have been too much later.
Yeah.
But
not too much later. It was like 97, 98, something like that. But no, I was about the same age in 1995 as Monica is in the movie.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah. So I've got memories. I remember it's loading.
Yeah, getting disconnected. Yeah, I remember because again, I live in the house I grew up in, but I would be visiting because I was at college, and my mom got a second phone line so that the internet could always be connected. Oh my God, yeah. Oh my, and the computer, the big computer that was in the corner of the den that was but it's connected on its own line. So, but anyway, I enjoy the film. Great emotional core. I love a lot of the space stuff, and if I'm not mistaken, Gemma Chan was Minerva, and wasn't she the lead in Eternals as well? Or
she was.
Oh, there we go. Okay,
they've never explained it.
It's just she's just an actress who had another job. So there you go.
Yeah.
But I love it. It's like, you knew all along. Is that why we never hung out? No, I just really don't like you very much. And then she force punches her. I just love the fight scene over the No Doubt song where she's just kicking the shit out of these people over and over and over again. It's fantastic. It is.
Well, see, I was like, that's too spot on the damn nose, but I get it if it's cute.
It absolutely was very on the nose, but I'm with Jen. I just loved it. It was just there to be loved. Todd, it's like, how you and I watched a couple of really crappy horror movies for Shocktober. We watched People Under the Stairs and we watched House, and they were both bad, but it was fun. So this was, even the moments where it was a little too on the nose, I was having fun. So I didn't have to, sometimes a cake is just a cake, So I dug it.
Yep.
Yeah, I totally got it. But I forgot how much I like this film, and I will endeavor to watch it more often. It's so funny because we started this at like 8:00, but April and I just both had a horrific week. She was in Chicago for a conference. I was on the road as always. And so we're back home watching this movie that we started at 8:00, and she's asleep at 9:00. And then we get to the end and the teaser is coming on. I'm like, oh God, I want to watch Endgame again. She says, we are not putting Endgame on at 10:00. We're going to bed right now. We're not going to be up at 1:00 in the morning trying to finish Endgame.
How dare you even suggest that?
You can barely stay up for 6:00 movies.
I know, that's a tough one. Well, yes, exactly. It's very true. But anyway, that's it. But I will work that one back into my rotation. I don't rewatch a lot of movies anymore either. I always say anytime I have air travel, especially if it's a long flight, I always watch Infinity War and Endgame back to back on my tablet. That's how I annually watch those films. But maybe I'll
throw Captain Marvel right in the middle.
She'll be right in the middle. She works. Yeah. So, all right. Well, that is the end of the Geek Easy. Todd, time to get out that Air Qantas app. got to get down to the land down under where Hologram Tina and the mutants are waiting for us to talk about the Marvels.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
We're sitting in the Thunderdome where the mutants have been gathered for a topic or a game to be entertained. And this week, we're doing a spoiler-filled discussion on the Marvels. This is the billion teeth MCU entry, so I don't know the number anymore.
Billion teeth? Isn't this like, I think
a lot.
I think it's 33.
Sure.
That sounds good. I'd like 33.
I would not. No, I don't think anybody knows. But
lucky number 33. Nobody knows.
Exactly. So we had a budget of $273 million. Opening weekend estimates right around 47 to 52. Directed by Nia DaCosta, and I really did not know her oeuvre. So she's a fairly young director, doesn't have a lot of credits, to be honest. And I know she's making another film, but this is her first real foray into genre filmmaking. Mm-hmm. So, and then I can't remember who directed the first Captain Marvel film.
I don't remember either. I bet Jen knows.
It's not the same director.
It is not the same director. It was Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. Directed the first one.
Gotcha.
It was a team. Yeah.
Got it. Nia DaCosta, probably, Charlie, you know her. She directed Candyman, the most recent.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Gotcha. So
that was her last big film.
Oh wow, so more of a horror slant. So okay.
Yeah.
I think we should let Jen read the summary. That's what I think.
If you can see it with the sun blocking.
Yes. Yeah. She's so radiant. She's causing the sun to burst through her background. It's amazing.
Well, Captain Marvel just reignited the sun behind her. So.
Don't jump ahead, Todd. Don't jump ahead. Oh,
sorry. Carol Danvers, a.k.a. Captain Marvel, has reclaimed her identity from the tyrannical Kree and taken revenge on the Supreme Intelligence. But unintended consequences see Carol shouldering the burden of a destabilized universe. When her duties send her to an anomalous wormhole linked to a Kree revolutionary, her powers become entangled with that of a Jersey City superfan, Kamala Khan, a.k.a. Ms. Marvel, and Carol's estranged niece, now Saber astronaut Captain Monica Rambeau.
Very good. There we go. So this film is a culmination of a couple of things. Obviously, it's post-Endgame. It is building on the first Captain Marvel film from 2019. It is building off of WandaVision, bringing in Monica Rambeau, and also building on the Miss Marvel TV series from 2022. Essentially, it's a standalone film for the most part, in regards to it's not a continuation of anything else, I would say, in the MCU. It's kind of a self-contained film.
Well, as you said, with pieces coming together.
Correct.
And as I was talking about earlier in the show, it's the first real film entry that's taking significant portions of the Disney Plus original quote unquote episodic programming and plugging it into the MCU, unless I'm very much mistaken, if I'm not thinking of something else.
Theoretically, Multiverse of Madness did sort of deal with the
repercussions with Wanda.
Okay. But did it really?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it was much more peripheral, and it didn't give us characters that non-Disney Plus episodic viewers.
This is the first time that your characters are going to be. I mean, Billy and Tommy, but
Exactly. Yeah, Billy and Tommy. Exactly. Yeah. So but
like major characters,
starring characters. Main characters. Yes. Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Yeah. So a lot of the returning cast. Samuel L. Jackson, Brie Larson. But a lot of newcomers. I mean, beyond just the main characters, we've got Saber. We're in that area as well, where there's a cast of characters there, which is I believe that's a mix of Terrans and non-Earth characters. With the one guy
who was
300 years old.
I was trying to suss that out. I didn't know if he was an Asgardian, because the Asgardians are ancient like that. We know Thor was 1,500 years old. He told us that.
I was getting a Asgardian vibe from him.
But then again, the Asgardians.
The accent.
we get a
Asgardian accent.
Yeah, right.
Everybody's British.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just like all every part of the universe has a British accent. But in the Asgardians do get some representation in this because we do see Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, which was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was fun, and her little reference to being on an unintentional team was cool because there's a little nip at Ragnarok, which was a fun film. But yeah, I don't feel like the denizens of the Saber Station that was really addressed, but it's not too far afield to simply figure out, hey, we live in this this cosmic universe. So if we're going to build a space station, they don't even necessarily get into why is Nick Fury there, who built it, who runs it, is Saber just the new Shield? I mean, well, no, we got a bit of that in WandaVision because that's what,
and we also got it in Secret Invasion as well because we had
with
Fury. That's where it ended.
With what now? The show that nobody likes?
Exactly.
You know what Secret Invasion is? Secret Invasion is the Highlander 2 of the MCU. That's what it is.
Well, what we can take away from that's where how Sam Jackson got there because we saw
riding the little elevator. I got it.
Correct.
And even then, you already knew that Nick Fury was in space because of the post-credit scene from the Spider-Man movie years ago.
Yes,
so
yes.
You kind of had that.
Yep.
You do not need to see Secret Invasion to watch,
or for any reason at all ever in your life.
No. There's a lot of dumb stuff in Secret Invasion. I love the MCU. I am predisposed to like any MCU thing, so I recognize that. But
there are limits.
Wasn't good.
There's limits. Everybody
was not good.
Everybody has limits, and where the Eternals was the limit for the films for me, the Secret Invasion was the limit of the films of the Disney Plus stuff for me. Yeah.
It was very disappointing in many ways.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to leave it at that.
So with this film, essentially the big plot element is that one of the Kree leaders, Dar-Ben, who's apparently taken over from Ronan the Accuser, is essentially trying to resurrect the homeworld of Hala, because we find out in a flashback that Captain Marvel did, as addressed, took out the Supreme Intelligence, which, if you're a comic book fan, you're very well of that big head.
Very faithfully represented. He's basically, it's a big avocado with tentacles. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And they nailed it. But he also has like a big, like, weird baby face. He's like, it kind of looks like W.C. Fields if it was just a head. I don't know.
Blubberfish. What's those fish that looks like the big face?
The one with the big, with the big nose.
Blobfish.
The blobfish. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I would love to add a Supreme Intelligence to my figure menagerie. There's never been a figure, so that would be there. Are you listening, people at DST or at Hasbro? I would like a Supreme Intelligence to go next to my MODOK. Make it happen.
There might be one.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, so that the main thrust is that's what she's essentially, because of the destruction of the Supreme Intelligence, it essentially destroyed the planet in the process because they decided to go hell-bent on weaponizing, destroyed the environment. They had a drought, and so that's the big thing that they want to basically remake the world. And how do they do that? By essentially opening up holes in space.
Great idea.
Doing space balls. So you have the super maid sucking up the environment.
He's gone from suck to blow.
I couldn't get him like, oh yeah, that's exactly what this is. Sucking up the environment and putting in the environment into the hollow world.
Like Perrier.
And this movie... Yeah, this movie had a lot of elements that I saw in other films. I'm like, okay, we've got a Gremlins portion of this film, or Tribbles portion in this film as well, as a major plot point.
Oh, yeah. and there were these two young girls. There were Zennials, not millennials. I forget millennials are more your age, Jen, and no offense. My kids are millennials too. But the Zennials are the young kids now. And these little girls, it was driving April nuts because they were like, oh, God, it's so cute. And they're looking at their phones to look stuff up while the movie's going. And, Jen was furious. Anyway, but that's tangent. I'm going to get off. But anyway, I'm sorry. I was very much won over by the baby cats because we're cat people in this house, and I was all for it.
Flirt kittens.
So I thought that's where, for me, that's where the movie kind of just went off the rail. I'm like, I couldn't understand the tone of this movie. It was all over the place. It was like super serious, and there was like this. I'm like, what is even going on right now? I'm like, it's too goofy. And it's like, and I like goofy things, but I'm like, I just like at the moment I'm like, okay, this feels like.
I mean, the goofiness
didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, the goofiness, without a doubt, I get. There were portions of it where they dovetailed into dealing with serious emotions. Monica's sense of abandonment, and Carol, because you always said you were going to come back, you never came back, and what that really means. And then Carol kind of verbalizing, I felt like a failure. I couldn't come back. And honey, that's not how family works. I liked that. There were pinpricks of seriousness in what was otherwise just a fun film. You know, the dancing and the singing Planet. Todd, that was right up your alley. I can't believe you didn't enjoy that.
I thought that was kind of contrived too. It felt like forced fun, and I dig musicals, and I dig all of that. But for me, like, I didn't buy it. I really didn't buy it. I just like it. It felt like, what are they doing?
I mean, I appreciate when it comes to the cosmic stuff and thinking about, I mean, the universe in Marvel, it's easier to traverse because you can go you have to fly to one of these jump points and it takes you somewhere else in the universe. The Marvel universe is so much bigger than Star Wars, which is one galaxy, or, Star Trek, which is one galaxy, but it's very split up. I just love how there's this just vastness to the MCU cosmic portion where they don't have a galaxy. They have all the universes out there. They're bopping around or whatever it is. Even at the end of Captain Marvel 2019, Carol's, when she gives Fury the modified pager, he says it should be good for a signal for a couple of galaxies. I mean, that's awesome. Yeah. I enjoy that.
I appreciate it. I didn't like the execution. I didn't think the execution was very well done.
Oh,
I like the fun element. I just thought, they can only sing, but they're not singing the whole time. It just felt like it failed on that level to me. And I just felt like a lot of this movie, Carol felt very awkward throughout the whole thing. And it was just a very where I think the first movie, they nailed it. In this movie, I felt like I wasn't understanding her role in this film to a large extent, and where I thought Aman Vellani stole all the scenes. She had the most personality over the ball. And she's my favorite character because I feel like she's the only one out there. And I like Monica as well because she was dealing with I just felt like Carol just kind of felt like very awkward. Even the moment you mentioned, like you said, of that, but her niece doesn't know any of that thing, and she should have been there for it. I didn't like her. I liked her less for that because essentially she wasn't there for her. And I just you can feel guilty and everything, but you got to man up. You got to be there for your family. If you're not, then it's so that's where I'm I didn't feel it. I felt like, oh, that felt like a unearned moment for me because it didn't feel very realistic.
Well, Jen, what did you think?
Have you ever messed up? Because that's
absolutely.
Exactly, and it's but for me. And it's this idea of, I've messed up on this colossal cosmic level. I cannot show my face to these people who are counting on me to be a good person. And because what I did made me not a good person. It was such a monumental failure. And whether that's true or not doesn't matter. It's that she felt that way. She felt that she could not show her face to someone who looked up to her and needed her. I think that she reconciles that in the end by being there for Kamala. She's doing exactly what she did with Monica originally by taking Kamala into the plane and, having a sidekick. And she learns from her mistakes that she does need to be there for family. And that's kind of where that came from for me. And that's one of the things that I like about Carol as a character in the comics too. And this movie felt like the Captain Marvel comics, especially the more recent runs. Mm-hmm. I saw that Kelly Sue DeConnick was a consultant on this film, which is great because this really evoked a lot of her run. I I mean, the Flurkittens and the tone of her
was that from the
too
comics, the Flurkin kittens?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So like when I saw that egg, I'm like, oh, I know exactly what that is
nice.
because that's exactly how it happened in the comics too. Was like there were just these weird eggs all over the place, and it was like, oh, Goose has a family. Although in the comics she's Chewy, but like it's Flurkins abound.
It's a good thing that Flurkins are a little bit in this film a little bit more discriminating on what they digest, because the big escape from the Saber satellite is they just suck all the people up, but they at the end they just throw them up, which is
they have a pocket dimension inside of them.
Oh, does that get addressed, or are we just making the leap?
No, that's we assume.
I think that's addressed in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at some point.
Non-canonical.
What happens is what happens is they get the Kree blood in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. from the dudes that the Flurkin gobbled up into the pocket dimension. I mean, they never actually say it on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but they kind of external force explains how they got that.
Zipping by me. I saw all of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because April loves that show, but I maybe they should have said that. It's a pocket dimension. They're not actually eating you, right?
The Flurkins.
I mean, because obviously that's how that was the transit of the Tesseract from space back to Earth again. But
right,
yeah. Oh my goodness, my. So
and as a cat owner, the number of times that it sounded that. I'm like,
that was the exact sound I got when I went upstairs between recordings. I'm like, oh, good, someone's puking in the other room. That's fantastic.
Hairball time. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The relationship between all three of the leads was amazing. I thought they had great chemistry. I thought just a lot of it did remind me. It felt like the comics because it does. They do have that tonal shift sometimes where it goes from wacky to serious and back again. And I mean, life's kind of like that too. And I think if you have these wacky moments sort of surrounding the serious moments, you get to kind of roll with the punches a little bit more easily, I think. So to speak.
It just didn't work for me. I was like, fair. Nobody knows what she did, so she doesn't have to explain anything to anyone. And I always felt like, I don't know, and this is weird.
No, she doesn't have to, and she didn't to Nick Fury, but she did to Monica because she did owe her an explanation.
Yeah, and I'm so used to Carol Danvers. The 30 years she was a character before this, she's a hard-edged fighter pilot. She is
very
steel
true.
And balls. And to me, this take feels like I got a lot of I felt like she was very confident at times, but not confident. And I always feel like being a military vet, I feel like they've shied away from that part. I feel like they've kind of made her feel like she's a little bit less steeled. In this movie, I felt like she gets mad, but I didn't feel like she's full-on leader like we get even in the Marvel comics. She's the head of the Avengers. She is a leader at this point. I didn't feel like she felt like a leader like an Air Force officer is. So in a lot of ways, I don't love this take of Carol Danvers because she feels so different from her previous years that she feels less like, I would say like this point, I'm like, she doesn't feel like an Air Force officer.
I would say, and I think it's as echoed both in comic form going back in the day and then to really what in this film. Don't forget in the comics, many, many moons past, she had her identity stolen by Rogue from the X-Men. That was in that was when she left Earth. She became binary. I was dying for the end credit because I could not remember the name of the binary character who we get it in the Easter egg, which we'll talk about in a second. She lost her identity, had to rebuild it with Charles Xavier's help, and then she went through, and then she got Baby and Mar. But in this film, she loses her identity again when in the first film, when the Light Star Drive blows up and they take her back to Kree, and she's rebuilding who she is. So I would simply say that, Todd, what you're addressing, her life as Captain Danvers, Avenger, fighter pilot, is perhaps still removed from who she is in this day and time.
She doesn't remember.
Yeah, so it's that's going to be different.
But she said she did, and she didn't want to see her. So that was the thing. Like, well, she didn't want to see her, and I don't know.
But again,
it just didn't work for me. I don't know the rationale, the reason. I don't know. It's just like, okay, I get it. Yep, that's a answer.
And sad to say, based on the box office performance, certainly domestically, it's not working for a lot of people because this was highly touted as being Marvel's lowest opening. I'm in the camp with Jen. I feel it's very undeserved. This is the most I've enjoyed a Marvel film since Endgame.
Really?
Yeah, because Black Panther. I don't, maybe Black Panther 2. Maybe I said because I saw it, I was very drowsy because it was it was last year after Comic-Con set up. But I didn't really love all over that, and I didn't care for Quantumania. What are some of the other films that have come out? Eternals was totally bust for me.
Guardians 3.
Guardians 3 I enjoyed. I
really liked Guardians 3.
But I dug this better. Shang-Chi, it was okay. But yeah, this was fun for me the way the Guardians is fun, but I found this to be a kind of a notch beyond that. So I dug it. I wish it was doing better. But
me too.
I think it's potentially the result of fatigue, and it's potentially from the result of the SAG-AFTRA strike and the lack of promotion, which got to happen at the one day before the film came out. The strike ended. So it's not like I think the film was going to find fantastic legs, but I don't know. I just I appreciate all takes, but this was one I walked out of it happy and smiling. I was having a good time. So cliffhanger.
I was going to say I was going to give you a differing viewpoint because my wife didn't see Captain Marvel, didn't see WandaVision, but loved Miss Marvel. Yeah. She walked away from the film. She felt like this was not a good film if you hadn't seen all those things. She felt like it kind of failed as just a self-contained thing because it was all over the place, and it didn't feel like a very comprehensive story. It felt like you had to know those things to give it context and meaning, and a lot of those things. Without that, it just felt like a mishmash. I
feel like they addressed all of that, but as someone who's seen all of those things, I can't speak to that. But,
right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. She hadn't, so she's like, it didn't feel like a very good movie. It just felt like a bunch of stuff coming together versus like a standalone film that you can just really enjoy, take away without seeing those things. And I think in a lot of ways, there's a lot of pieces you have to know or you lose those contexts. And they don't do a great job of like explaining. They did some through the flashbacks, but yeah.
Right. It could be, and again, Todd, you and I have talked about this recently, that Marvel used to be for everyone, right? It was easy to, hey, there's 5 films, there's 10 films. It's easy to wrap your arms around it. But as it, like the branches of time in Loki, with the TVA, as it gets too big, it's less accessible to John Q, seat warmer in the movie, who's not a hardcore Marvel guy or gal. So that could have an aspect to it. But all right, well, let's talk about something that maybe we can all enjoy, which would be talking about what happens after the credits. Because Todd, this was this after the credits, that was in your wheelhouse. Mid credits. Yeah,
they and I'd like to hear Jen's thoughts on this because I think this was a weird one because obviously Monica is trapped in the gateway that was torn open by Dar-Ben, and she wakes up and essentially in the universe that the X-Men Fox films happened. She's with Beast, played by Kelsey Grammer, and she looks over, sees a woman next to her. She thinks it's her mother, and we find out that it's actually Binary. Who is yes. She was one of Galactus's heralds. I mean, she is a superpowered being. She has like kind of a red head. I mean, her head, her basically her head kind of turns into a ball of flame. I don't know.
Well, I wish I could show you because I have the figure on my windowsill opposite of where I'm looking right now on my little cosmic shelf next to Fire Lord and original Drax and Beta Ray Bill and Silver Surfer. I have a little shelf with those guys. That's on my glass block window shell there. But yes, no, you saw the actress who plays Maria Rambeau, whose name I can't remember, in depowered form, but she's. Yeah, wearing the exact suit. But this is I thought Kelsey Grammer's Beast was very weirdly animated. I thought that kind of bugged me because it looked very CGI-y, where when we saw him in X-Men Last Stand in 2006, and then we saw him again at the end of X-Men Days of Future Past in 2014, it was practical makeup, where in this he just looked like he was a weird CGI critter, and I didn't really care for it. But yeah, it's a separate universe. It's not either of the two that we saw in Multiverse of Madness, where we saw Maria as a regular Kree Force Captain Marvel kind of person, and then we saw Sir Patrick Stewart as Professor X, because both of those characters died. So that's obviously not reflective of this, because we get Professor X gets a name drop as Beast is walking around the room, and obviously this is a big tee up for what comes next. So
yes,
I thought
this resonated at all with you, Jim?
Yeah.
I love X-Men, right? And I thought it was really cool. I thought that, Maria being binary was a cool nod to when Carol was binary. And it's like, maybe, things obviously played out differently in that universe. But it's like, where are we going with this? I mean, obviously we're going to X-Men, and, everything's going to be colliding and reality is breaking and everything's going to just kind of fall apart. But it was really cool. It was really cool to see Beast and see the name drops. And it's like, enough with the breadcrumbs. The teases in Multiverse of Madness and the little musical stinger in Ms. Marvel when they say that she's a mutant, and okay, you're teasing us. And Pietro in WandaVision, or fake Pietro, which I have other thoughts on, that would be a totally different podcast.
Fake Pietro. Right.
Yeah. And I'm like, I can see where they're going with this. And it's going to be so long before we actually get that.
Yeah.
That I'm like,
3 to 4 years at least feels like, before they can get something, because there's nothing X-Men related announced. So
other than Deadpool.
Other than Deadpool. So could that now there's another question. Could this find its way into Deadpool, or is Deadpool too satirical to include like anything this was obviously a very serious bent to this particular scene. So is Deadpool tonally upside down to include anything like this, or do you think it's just a throwaway to something that might happen someday?
I don't know. I think this is going to be, because Carol's going to want to look for Monica, right?
Right.
She's going to want to try to find out where she is, and with their powers being so linked, maybe there's a way to do that, especially if the bangle is seeking things. Carol had the other bangle at the end of the movie.
Right.
So
so they say
maybe there's ways that could happen. She takes Kamala with her, but Kamala's setting up a new team of her own, too,
right?
Which is awesome.
Yeah, there you go. Little Kate Bishop, Kate Bishop action and Pizza Dog. Bishop. Yeah, I love it.
That was a nice surprise. I was like, and that wasn't even that was just at the end of the movie. It wasn't even a mid credits portion, which was kind of cool, and a throwback to the Nick Fury and Iron Man discussion.
It was exactly like that.
It was pretty cool.
Was just
So leading into that, it is interesting because the two characters that kind of break the fourth wall now are Deadpool and She-Hulk. So I don't know if that's something where She-Hulk would get involved with Deadpool, because that would be a fun, kind of a mashup.
Yes.
Absolutely. Cool.
Yeah, so we could see that. But then in the Young Avengers piece, which Kamala doesn't mention calling it Young Avengers, but in that team, the people that we've established so far are Kate Bishop, we have Kamala, we also have Stature, which I believe is the official name of Scott's daughter in the suit.
Oh, okay.
Comics, I don't know.
Stinger from the A2 universe.
Stinger.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Cassie then Lang. We have potentially the son of, or the grandson of Isaiah,
Eli.
who was experimented from the Super Soldier
Isaiah
serum.
Bradley.
Truth. He was a character in the Young Avengers. Then I'm trying to think of anybody else. I've heard
America Chavez.
Yes, America Chavez.
America Chavez. There you go.
Chavez.
You had
the Hulk has a son, but they're going to be doing something with Hulkling, because that's not Hulkling from the comics. That's a completely different thing.
Right.
Correct.
Scar could
Hulkling
come back and Kamala wasn't in the Young Avengers in the comics either.
Right.
Yeah. He was half Kree and half Skrull. So it's
right. That would
I'm
fit
guessing
right
Scar
in.
would be the
original
replacement.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, and do keep in mind, there's been no project even hinted about around any of this. So this was a true surprise, where the X-Men bit is not surprising at all, because we know that
they've been setting up Young Avengers.
Yeah.
because they've been introducing so many of them, and I'm just
Right.
like, as a young Avengers fan, I'm just like, oh, as you keep bringing in more of them, this is coming together so much more.
You're just saying you want the loaf of bread.
solidly.
You're sick of the breadcrumbs. I'm totally down. Yeah,
As
give
far
me.
as the X-Men, I mean, I've been waiting for a long time. I mean,
It's
I
like
had that this. I liked the first X-Men movies because that's like it was seeing the characters that I loved on screen, and it's
Yeah.
like I would love to see it done by Marvel. I mean, more so the Fantastic Four because they messed that up twice.
I was going to say you live in the space with X-Men that I am with the Fantastic Four because I'm an OG fan. Enjoyed that early 2000s. The first film, the second one was trash, and then
because that's what we got.
And then they trashed us into the one in 2015, which was, I always like to bring up, that was the bullet I took for Todd, so he never had to see it. I went and saw it, but oh my God, just okay, we're not talking about that. All right, let's at least try to move this forward. Okay, so to wind things up, Todd, shall we move forward with a rating?
Sure.
Out of 10 baby flirkins. Oh, there you go. Out of 10 baby flirkins, Todd, where do you land? Be kind. Hashtag be kind.
I have one question before I give my review. Is it now that Kamala no longer needs the bracelet, right? It's just basically it triggered her powers, but she doesn't need any more. Okay, that's what I'm going to make sure.
She's a mutant.
So,
yes.
Exactly. So that must have triggered her mutant ability. So that's kind of cool.
She was hashtag triggered.
I couldn't remember if it was needed or not. Okay, cool. Now that I know that, doesn't change my rating, but I had that question.
Oh,
so I would say I would give this one a 6 out of 10.
That sounds so bad.
Didn't do much for me, really. I probably wouldn't watch this again. I love seeing Kamala on the screen. I thought they did more work with Monica because I think Monica's had the least screen time of any character. So I'm glad she got more quality time on screen. And and where it landed, it didn't really leave any breadcrumbs to where Carol's story's going.
That's
honestly.
true.
It's kind of like, So we don't know if she's going to be in what movie she's going to be in. Like Spider-Man, we don't know when we're going to see Spider-Man again. So it's kind of like, is that it for Captain Marvel?
We know there's an Avengers movie coming up, but we don't know who the Avengers are. So what does that mean? Yeah, who's going to be on that team? So I think that's your best chance to see any character, especially since it's the Kang Dynasty and the Secret Wars, and I feel like there's an equal chance to see anyone and everyone again. So just don't give up the ship. So, all right, Jen, super fan. Where do you land?
I'm giving it a 9. But I'm me. I mean, look at me. I've loved Captain Marvel for so long. I think they did a really great job of it. I loved the chemistry. I loved Carol's story in this, and it's about coming back from failure, and recognizing that your family's going to love you anyway. And it was fun. It was delightful. It reminded me of the comics. It's not a 10 because it was too short. And that's not just me saying I wanted more. It's like there were some scenes to me that felt like in the edit, it's like we needed to linger just a little bit longer on it. We needed a little bit more explanation. I think that if we had a couple more scenes to kind of tie together some of the backstories, like you were saying, Todd, and to just sort of make it gel. And I think that might have been a result of the strike because you couldn't have anyone come back for pickups to kind of shoot anything later. But I think it was really good. I was very satisfied. I had a great time. So 9 baby flirkins.
That is where it's at. I will probably echo that. Not that I try to copy somebody else's rating, but this is an 8.59 for me as well. True, the tone, the dancing around with the tone could be a little quarrelsome. But again, overall, the 85-90% of this film was all in good fun. Dancing on the singing planet. You're sprinkling in a little bit of seriousness here, but especially if, and again, I'm not that familiar with how it went with the comics, but if what Jen is saying true, that it echoes the comics. I appreciate that. We don't get enough of that. We get more of like, well, this is the way the MCU is now. So, and, for super old school comic guys like Todd and I, who, were reading comics 40 years ago, we'd love to see as much of that kind of stuff as we can. So yes, I would 8, 5, or 9 it because I appreciated the tone. Yet, like you said, Imam Vellani was stealing all the scenes sideways. So we had some of her family, but not too much of her family that it got obnoxious. Because there's a threshold with her family where it's like, it's enough. It's not too much, and I did like that. And same thing with Nick Fury. We got enough, but not too much of him because he's burned up a lot of goodwill after Secret Invasion. Let's face it, we've kind of had our fill. He had his chance, and it was the Book of Boba Fett. It was and the MCU's Book of Boba Fett. That's what Secret Invasion was.
I'll go with that.
Todd, please.
I have one more question. What happened to the water planet? Did they refill it back up?
That was April. That was April as well.
Is there no more water there?
Well, it looks like they took a bit of water, and then that was all we saw. So, and then our characters got yanked out of there. So, like, we should have stayed and fought. But you would just simply hope that everything worked out fine. It was
sure.
What's the old Homer Simpson quote? Well, I'll go and I'll hide under a pile of coats, and I'll just hope that everything works out.
Sure.
So there you go. That's how this one resolved. Hide under a pile of coats and hope it all works out. Well, good. Todd, Jen, that's the show. So, Jen, my partner, thank you for coming on and doing this. Nobody could have done this but you. You were our Captain Marvel.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we wouldn't have had this one without you. Yeah. So we appreciate this. Where do people find you out there?
I've got a link tree that is linktree.com/JenWatsonArt. There you can find my Instagram, my business Facebook, my Etsy shop, currently on vacation, but I'll be back soon, and a link to my author page on Screen Rant where I write about Star Trek.
Woo-hoo! And I love seeing you. I love seeing your name in lights. I love it. I read those articles. I don't read them all, but I do my best. So Todd, how about you?
You can follow me at TOxtra on Threads and Twitter, and let's see. Secret Friends Unite on Threads as well. And it's just Secret Friends U on Twitter.
Excellent. And you can find me still over on X Twitter at the C3 spell it out. I'm trying to do a little bit better over on Threads and Instagram. C3 Carpenter, again, spell it out. And then, of course, our Secret Friends Unite Discord is kind of where the action is happening. But for me, again, my wife, April, and I do head up the USS Grand Petoskey, one of the biggest chapters of the International Star Trek fan club in the world. We're based here in West Michigan. Recently had a great showing at Grand Rapids Comic Con. We were able to raise almost $1,800 for Make-A-Wish of Michigan, which is something very near and dear to my heart, with a great charity auction and sales of tribbles at our booth, which is just it's like those tribbles are made of crack. People absolutely love them. We make just cash by the bowlful. So we have a lot of fun doing that kind of stuff. If you're a Trekker, within the sound of my voice, I also head up Region 13, which is Michigan and Eastern Canada. Please seek us out. Give a googs to USS Grand Petoskey or to Region 13, Starfleet International. Drop me an email, and I will happily help you find some Trekkers where you live, no matter where you live. And with that, friends, thank you again for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Higher, further, faster, baby.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
Meow. Meow. Meow.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.